Welcome everybody to the Tuesday, August 9th at 7 o'clock. So regular Board of Finance meeting. If you can all stand up for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone. All right, so again, everybody knows Cynthia is just at a Board of Finance, I'm sorry, at a zoning board meeting. There's something going on in her neighborhood, so she just wants to keep following that. She asked me to share again tonight. So again, any public input? I know we have somebody. Tell you everything this now. Okay. So no one can. Is anybody on Zoom, Mary?
No.
We're all good on Zoom? Great. Any correspondence?
No.
Nothing else? Okay, great.
About 7 minutes.
All right, we're cranking it. You know, I don't like to waste time. Consideration of minutes from July 12th. It was a regular meeting.
I'd like to move to accept those minutes.
Okay, so we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Any other discussion on the minutes?
Just want to recuse myself. I wasn't there at that meeting.
Okay. So all in the favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Again, this here's the fifth thing on the agenda is a Board of Education has a request from non-recurring account. And I know Dr. Carver's here. And I know Brad has some information on it also, but Doc, if you want to start.
Sure. I'm going to refer to the memo that is in the packet that you should have received. So seven selectmen straightened came to our parent session that we do on school security, and they asked me to come to the Board of Selectmen meeting to present to the Board of Selectmen about how we approach school security at the school. You might remember, and Brad helped me on the page, the Board of Ed submitted a capital plan to the Board of Finance as part of the budget process as a result of a security assessment that we did. I think it was in 2019.
It was either 19 or 20.
Okay, it was clearly a while ago. At the time, I think it was mostly because of COVID and everything that was in flux at the time. The project never got funded as part of that normal budgetary process. And I think, in fact, it didn't even go forward to the voters, so I'm not completely positive about that. But when we did the security assessment and we got the original estimates for what they said that we needed, and our goal was always to make sure that the security at all of the other three schools that weren't renovated were the same as our renovated schools, because the renovated schools have top-notch security throughout the building in a variety of perspectives. So we submitted it, it wasn't funded, we were in COVID. I think some of you know that last spring, when Terry Yansky was still here, we actually applied for 2 separate security grants for the Department of Homeland Security and our Department of Emergency Operations Homeland Security. And we were like thrilled that we got 2 of those grants. So one of them is called, was round 5 of security grants, and that fully funded everything we wanted to do at Bethel Middle School. The second grant was, it was called a multimodal grant. Multimedia, thank you. And the main goal of the grant was to enhance connection from the schools to the police station. But through that process, we were also given funding for parts of Bethel High School, like the camera system that we requested. That was a huge expense. And there were some other pieces to it. When that grant, just so you know how it was structured, was that it was 47 cents on the dollar. So we paid
46 cents. The state is giving us 54 cents on the dollar.
Right.
So it's a good investment.
Right, it's a really good investment. So from that initial capital project, through this grant process, the state is actually paying for a good portion of it. And when we presented the grant to the Board of Ed, it was always our intent, and it's still our intent, for the other 46%. To be paid out of the unexpended funds account.
The 1% account on your
1%
side.
account on our side.
Yep.
And we are going to continue to do that. And Brad made a beautiful little spreadsheet that kind of shows all of that information. When I was at the selectmen meeting, I believe I told you this, Nick, I believe Brian Kurz even asked me, what wasn't funded? out of the grant. And I described to him in generality some of the things that from that original capital project wasn't actually part of it. That grant process, or because Barry and the high school weren't really they weren't funded in the round 5 of the state grant. So the Board of Selectmen asked me and Jen to come back to the next meeting with a more detailed list with costs associated, which you have on my memo. And Jen actually went so far as to try to get all of, and has gotten all the vendors out to get very updated quotes on each of the components of the things that weren't funded through that grant. At that time, the Board of Selectmen felt it was important to recommend to the Board of Finance to continue for consideration of funding for those additional items. So that's the history of how we're here. If we complete these projects, that will completely finish all of the security projects that we had intended to do when we submitted that initial capital project for the at the time that we originally submitted it. Now, I don't want to go into too much detail about like what all these things are because it is full security. But I'm happy to answer any questions. I wanted you to have an overview of the costs associated, what were the general categories that was that they were being we were requesting the funding at. So I'm happy to answer questions.
I just did a little history lesson, and I know, Bob, you can probably speak of it, but Brad, the initial request from that study, the security study, it went to the CNR account, right? Because it was,
Well,
okay,
it
we gotta
was-
do this, but we're gonna do it
Yeah.
in small steps.
It
And
was
what was that
part-
original dollar amount?
So the original request was 700,000. And then the Board of Ed came back and said, we'll do it over 2 years. And then I think that was January of 2020.
Oh, blah, blah, blah.
COVID hit. The boards didn't really put anything capital through
Right.
for 18 months, or at least a year to not, because we didn't know what was going on, so we were holding money. And then it worked out in our favor because the grant popped up. So if you look at the top of this, that original $700,000 that they estimated, the total cost would be 682 round numbers, and it just shows the split of it. With the
Instead of
grant,
the board spending out of the CR accounts, almost 700, it's really 240. It boils down to 240.
Right.
Because of the grant and the
And the 1% account.
the Board of Ed putting up,
Right.
right, gotcha.
Right.
And you feel that this is gonna be covered as much as we can think we're covered?
As far as we go, we really hit every area. As I said, we use the state security, it was before Jen, but we use the state security consultant to do the study that we used as part of the projects. I want to really praise Jen for comprehensively going through the grant application and getting these estimates to get us where we are. Yes.
Excellent.
Now, can I tell you, in years, there
As
are-
best as we can be, of
Right,
course.
there isn't gonna be some new security feature that might be out there, but this will get us to where we want it to be.
To be right now.
and the Board of Selectmen did approve a bid waiver, so they can go ahead with the same vendor, so everything.
Is all, they all work together.
I see. God damn.
If I just would have one quick question, just gonna sound stupid, but I'm gonna ask. They're replacing existing ballistic film with part of this grant.
Right.
Why? It wouldn't be
It
that
wears out
old.
over
Better
time.
quality.
It starts to peel off.
It does?
Yes, and there's, to Nick's point, there's much better quality now.
Holds it together much better.
Than had
Good.
previously from before.
Okay. 'Cause it
So
just
you have
seems
some of the
long
old
ago might have
stuff.
been
So I
done.
say we get the better stuff, right?
I'm in, just
And
was
to
curious.
put it in perspective,
Yeah.
that you're talking almost very young, in the 90s.
No, Barry was done after that.
But the film, you're right. No, the middle school was the 90s.
You talking about the film or the renovation?
Well, the film happened around, I think, it's been there since maybe long time.
2000s, yeah.
So, but it does have a shelf life.
There you
That's
go.
one.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I know, Melanie, you walked in. Is there anything you want to add as the chair of the board?
No, I'm just, this isn't a vital family, exactly from too much school violence, it's just everywhere you look. So I think from the standpoint of keeping our kids and our staff safe and assuring our parents that we're doing what we need to do to help our kids. So it's a huge priority for them.
I would agree. The security is most important and it takes a village to raise kids. And I'm
That will-
full supporting it. So, yes, ma'am.
Quick question. What does this leave in the 1/2% fund?
I will give you a round number and I can get back to you with
A round.
something more precise. We should have.
It was like
about-
750 in there.
Yeah, it was
wasn't
about 750, so we should have more than 400,000 left after all of it, and that's, I'm being conservative when I say that.
Okay, because I thought through the budget process, there were also going to be some maintenance items that were going to be set aside in that fund.
As
We did that
go to the
last year.
places.
Yeah, I thought again this year, maybe this year.
There wasn't, last budget season,
Right.
22's budget, there was $100,000 reduction to the maintenance account.
And we
So-
did take it out of, we did take some out of our spending funds.
So Jen, you think it's round figures, maybe 400,000?
Yes, and I'll get you a better number,
Yeah, no worries. But after this 202 comes out.
yes.
Okay, got it. And Brad, more so for you. Does the capital non-recurring balance as reflected here include fiscal year 23 addition?
Yes, at this point it does.
So 26, 2.6.
I'm fairly certain, but now that I said that. I should-
Yeah, I'm not sure that's right. Are you saying 23? You don't have a
Year.
number of that yet.
No,
No,
no.
we
it
just
just-
came
The
up.
budget, the $650,000.
Oh, you're talking about the new
budget.
number that we added.
Not
to
in
it.
it.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
and-
and once this thing fires up, yeah, I will. But I believe I did add it at this point because now that we're in July, August, but
All right, and after the firing range is done, we think we'll have about 1 million in fund balance that we may be able to use.
yeah, and that's only to get to the 20%.
Yeah, and you said 18, right?
So,
That's our policy.
and that's before, I believe the last June number showed the revenue estimates are like $1 million more than budget. So,
All right, so that suggests we have somewhere in the vicinity of 3.6 million.
Yeah,
No,
for capital items.
Yeah, like I've heard, I don't know, or maybe closer to this, that there's some discussion about a fire truck for 1.8.
You gotta bring that up, all right?
No, I
I'll
just,
get on here.
It's a good question though, because there's other
Excellent.
capital items on here, right?
And there's a lot of COVID money too.
yeah, I just wanted to kind of get a sense. I'm sorry.
The air conditioning's really expensive.
There's a lot still on the list. So, I would accept the motion, just on this right now. Let's not, let's leave the fire truck out.
A wish list?
No, I'm not looking to get into the specific items. I was just curious as to what this is going to be.
A dollar.
Given that we always have items coming up. Thank you.
I would accept the motion.
So I'd like to make a motion that we approve $242,773 to finish off the security system for the Bethel schools
Coming out of the
and
CNR.
coming out of the non-recurring fund. Thank you.
Do I have a second?
Okay,
D second. It's nice to have you, D, here.
thank you.
I like Zoom, but it's better to have you. So any other discussion?
I
on
thought there
this?
was gonna be a fight for a second on that.
No, D stepped up here.
It doesn't include the 650.
That's-
Any other discussion on this motion?
And that's, we don't have to round up like $100 or anything, just.
No, let's keep it. Jen's gonna earn her keep.
No, a conservative made the motion, so I'm gonna stick with the dollar.
Yeah. I don't think he's gonna amend his motion. Excellent. All in favor on that motion?
Aye.
Aye. Let the record show it's unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks for coming out. All right, the next thing, this is a pretty easy one. Again, number 6, consideration of a lease buyout. Brad, do you want to go over that?
Yeah, so the lease for the public works director's car is up in September. I'm recommending we buy it. It's got like 12,000 miles on it. Everybody knows the used car market's through the roof. The prices we
Thank you,
got
Bill.
on new leases were like $200 more than we currently pay for it. And honestly, my suggestion is we get away from some of these leases until these prices come down. So, and we have a healthy CNR. So I think it just makes sense to buy it, and we should get 8 to 10 years out of this car instead of returning it back. And
How many miles is it?
like 12,000.
Oh, it's only got 12,000.
And again, Brad, this is the car that kind of sat. Matt used it a little bit, but it just doesn't have a bunch of miles on it.
Yeah, it's for the public works director going around town. It didn't sit that long because Matt did use it when his lease was up. And then when we got a new public works director, we leased a new vehicle for the first selectman. Because this vehicle then went back to the public works. So, as some of these leases come up, I'm gonna bring more of these.
Yeah, it just
It
makes sense.
seems silly to turn in cars that have like 15,000 miles on them.
Well, I was looking online too, and you can pretty much buy this starting car for like 24,000.
Yeah, that's what I saw too.
So it's already an equity.
No, just the price of, like Brad said, the price of the vehicle today.
Do we fix these in-house or what's the maintenance?
So we do, it depends. So sometimes under lease, if the dealership covers the first 4 oil changes, we're not gonna have our guys do the oil changes, our team. And once we get past that, then we do our own maintenance. So,
Excellent. I think there's enough discussion on that. Anybody like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Thank
to
you, Bob.
approve
Boy,
the
it's up there.
buyout
Hanging out
lease.
there, isn't it? Jeez. So Bob made a motion. Do we have a second on purchasing that car out of non-recurring?
I would love to second that. motion.
Excellent. So any other discussion on that? And all in favor?
Aye.
Let the record show unanimous. Number 7, Brad, you're not gonna be long, right?
no, the hour to 2 hours.
Pull his chair back.
Comptroller's report, we're 1 month into the year. There's not a whole lot to report. The revenue is right where we expected it to be. Last year at this time, we were 2956 collected. Now we're 2891. The year before that, we were 27. It's just timing. We're right where we want to be though. The expenses are all in line. Same thing I've been talking about for months is the utilities. We still haven't locked up utilities because we don't want to lock up utilities. It is coming down, so we're watching it, but I think last contract, we were locked in for $1.80 a gallon for diesel and gasoline, around that. So. I
And
don't
what are we
know.
paying today on the market? I mean,
It's about less than what's at the pump, but not that much less. Because there's not, we
It's
don't
in the
pay.
3s,
Yeah,
high 3s.
I'm sure it is, yeah.
Are you talking about for heating oil
Diesel,
today?
no, diesel, just
Diesel.
diesel trucks, right?
Yeah, I don't think we've placed an order in the last couple weeks.
So we
Um,
have more expensive stuff in the tank.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and hopefully it continues to go down by the time we need more, and then we'll lock it up. It is awful being on the market rate for this right now, but the alternative, if we had locked up 2 months ago, we'd be kicking ourselves.
Right.
Because it is down.
I think there's a little
so-
more leg down right
Yeah.
now. So, yeah.
So,
Oh, if you locked in January, today would have been lower than January.
the
Oh,
prices we were
even if-
getting to lock up for the year in January are $5 a gallon.
Oh, yeah.
And in your secret controller meetings, are you hearing things that things are gonna drop this fall?
There's no more smoking in those meetings.
Last time that I was at a conference was in February. I talked to like the 4 vendors that were there that all did either heating oil or gasoline. And they said, nobody's locking in right now. So, everybody had a different theory of when it was gonna go down. Nobody knows for sure. Obviously it's trending down. So summer's usually higher gas prices anyway because of travel. So hopefully it comes down more in the fall. And we'll lock up at some point just to make sure to lock in, but.
Brad, I know a lot of stuff's been converted over. We don't have a lot on fuel oil anymore, right? It's more natural
No,
gas.
the
Not saying that's
town-
not expensive.
The town doesn't have anything.
Nothing with fuel oil,
Water and sewer still have stuff on fuel oil.
but that's just pumps and stuff, right? Or generators?
Yeah. Like the Eureka water pump is still heating oil. The old PD is, so technically we do, but obviously we're not heating that building right
Taking
now.
that down, right?
So, natural gas did spike too, so it just,
But not as bad, right?
not, I think percentage wise, it was almost
Still
bad,
petroleum.
so it's,
Yeah, yeah.
you know, but. So. Yeah. So other than that, there's really, it's so early in the year, there's really nothing to report in here.
So I'll make a motion that we accept your report.
This stuff all over me. It's fine.
Second.
Everybody give them the minute.
Oh, no.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on that? Bob, did you have anything? You're all good? All right, all in favor of Brad's report as presented?
Aye.
Aye. Let the record show unanimous. I'd accept the motion to adjourn.
So
Motion, if there's no other business. All in favor?
Aye.
Who made the motion?
You ran it down, Brad. We're gonna let you pick that one.
I mean,
It's not how this works, but. okay.
John, yeah, John, Dan made the motion, John seconded.
Thank you.
All right. We're